So let me ask you a question. Would you say that you're currently stuck in consuming mode, researching the competition, researching content and looking at videos on your chosen topic, be it to grow your own YouTube channel or start an online business? You're doing a lot more consuming than you are creating. And I'm willing to bet that you've probably spent enough time consuming and that you're going to get a lot more out of taking action and actually starting to create. And we get stuck in this perfectionism cycle of not being able to move forward. Now, don't get me wrong. Obviously, in the beginning, we want to research our competitors. We want to research methodology and where we're going. We have to understand a certain amount. But at some point, you have to just take imperfect action and start bumbling your way forward. I know when I first got into online business about 11 years ago, it came soon after my then sort of brick and mortar style business going into liquidation and then splitting with my partner and having to temporarily move back in with my parents. So it was a painful time in my life. And what I did was I wanted to start learning how to make money online. So I basically went into 16 hours a day researching on my laptop to try and find information. And then I basically decided on, at the time, I think it was more affiliate marketing and launching and promoting digital products. So I got into this and I did research. I even started to promote for other people. And then I started to test it out for myself because at some point I couldn't do any more planning and I just had to take action and follow the information that I had in my head, which all seemed perfectly reasonable. And I thought I had it all planned out. I had actually probably over-planned things. And I launched a product and it failed. It made a couple of sales, which in a way was still a win, but it was still a massive fail. But I wouldn't have learned what didn't work until I took that action so that I could move on to the next step. So the only way to shortcut that would be potentially to pay for a mentor to help you jump over that potential failure. But for many of us, we have to make these mistakes on our own. And you're not going to know what you don't know until you take the desired action. So from learning that, what I then basically did was I went back into consuming mode and researching and learning and trying to move forward so that I could understand and move into the next space. And that's because there are seasons. We have seasons where we are researching and learning. And I like to kind of use the 80-20 rule where when you're planning out in the beginning, it's the 80% researching, 20% action. And then at some point, you know enough and more information is just going to slow you down and give you a headache. You're better off actually flipping it and taking 80% imperfect action while still trying to learn as you go. But there will be seasons where you keep flipping those two things over and over. And what I've realized again recently now is that I'm back in a consuming and research phase because I've started to doubt the direction that I'm going in. It's not really aligning with what my goals and what I actually want. So I've gone back into consuming and not really creating much of anything. And this is, again, a good thing, but I have now caught myself spending 2 days on an opt-in page title to try and map out the exact sort of idea of who I'm serving and how I'm going to serve them. So it's an important distinction, but it's not a 2-day distinction. These are things that you can test as you bumble your way along. You know, this didn't need to be me stopping creating and, you know, it just wasn't requiring so much effort. So you have to catch yourself sometimes and realize, oops, I'm stuck in consuming mode again. I'm spending more time looking at the competition than I am at my own business and helping my own clients. So on those moments, you have to say, do I know enough? Have I consumed enough? And is it time to start taking action again? Imperfect action again. Nothing is ever perfect, especially with online business. You're always course correcting as you move forward. A video may not quite align, but the next one might perfectly. Your opt-in page may not quite match, and the numbers that you're getting in terms of conversions may not align. So therefore, it might need a bit more tweaking. But you wouldn't know that unless you started sending traffic to those pages to try and see how they convert. So at some point, you're just guessing. You can only know so much, but you won't know until you get, as Mike Tyson would always say, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. And you don't know until something stops working. Just like my first attempt when I was getting into it with affiliate marketing and then started trying to launch my own products, I didn't know it wasn't going to work until I got punched in the face and realized I had certain foundational things that weren't quite right that I could then fix for the next product that I was going to launch. So I'm willing to bet that for many of you out there, you've probably consumed enough and now it's time to start creating. Create that YouTube channel, start recording videos, start producing an opt-in page or designing a product or getting a coaching call, booking form put onto your video descriptions so that you can start speaking to people and getting potentially those punches in the face. You have to just take action to actually see what works and what doesn't. There are some lessons that we just have to learn on our own. I'm a massive fan of getting mentorship and getting help, and I will put links in the video description to more free workshops that can help you with some of these different decisions to get you to move forward and take more action. But at some point you have to realize that you've consumed enough and it's time just to start creating. And I think that time is probably now. So maybe flip the script. It's time to do 80% creating and 20% consuming.